Hello everyone, this is Bobo the Vulture, and this is more Let's Play Gran Turismo 2. This is going to be, more going around, more finding different types of vehicles to enter into things and win. It's going to be experimental, because, once again, I'm trying yet another different little set of recording fittings and trappings to see whether or not it works. I got some input from another LPer who happens to use this same device. So, I won't name that LPer by name until I find out whether it works, because it'd be just embarrassing if it's like, "Hey, thanks for the advice, Joe Man." The LPer's name was not actually Joe Man. But, if it were, that'd be really embarrassing. There is a special event for Lancias. It is for Lancia Deltas, and I've already won it. So yeah, basically we're just going to test. I'm going to record for about half an hour or so, because it seems like on videos that are roughly that long is when we start to run into trouble with little sequences where all this weird, and then I start talking like this. You guys know what I'm talking about. You've seen it. We don't need to belabor it too much. Is there a rally style 106? I don't know that there is. A special 106. I think it's the 206 is their special. And it's naturally aspirated, is it? It is naturally aspirated. Well, I'll be darned. What kind of 106s do we have here? We have the 1.6 Rally and the 1.6 S16. What's the difference between the S16 and the Rally? The X16 is a tiny giant killer. It's launched in the majority of European markets in 1996. It was rebadged as the 106 GTI for introduction in the UK a year later. Instantly petite French hotback. Gained a reputation as a car that could be driven quickly with great confidence over even the most challenging roads. The 106 S16 has an advantage over heftier sports cars in its overall compactness. Underneath that small body is a fully independent suspension containing consistent struts at the front end, with trailing arms at the rear. While the suspension is lowered for better handling in the corners, it still retains spring rates carefully engineered to retain suppleness over bumpy European roads. Further guaranteeing the status of proper little pocket rocket is a raucous 1.6 liter, serving up a healthy 120 horsepower at 6 to 600 RPM. Torque isn't lacking either. S16 is twice that. Okay. So it's a better car than the Rallia? Is that what you're trying to tell me? Oh yeah, I guess so. It's not with the fun of driving in mind. Although, honestly, it has... Hmm. $1984. Okay, so this one has more horsepower, but is heavier. That seems to be a common refrain, doesn't it? Alright, blue. Let's color French race cars. Let's go ahead and get it. And we'll get in the car. Get in the car, get in the car, get in the car. And there's nothing that we need a car with such puny horsepower for now anyway. Let's look to see whether or not we're supposed to NA-tune this, or whether we should turbocharge it. Oof, if we can turbocharge it, let's do that, because that's not a big bump up in power. We can't turbocharge it. There's no way. bet, yes. This will be an experiment video, folks, both for the recording settings and because I actually just had a couple beers. Not that I, like, literally a couple, like 2. Not like, oh my god, I'm so totally drunk. But at the same time, even a small amount of alcohol, ladies and gentlemen, will affect your decisions and will affect your reaction times. So, I do remember at least one time in college when I got very, very inebriated and was playing this game. And it was definitely more difficult. I remember another time I was relatively inebriated and I was watching somebody else play this game. It might have been the same instant I just passed the controller over. And talking about how I was really proud of the guy for his ability to play the game. 202 horsepower, there you go. Oh, so this one you don't have to buy the stages 1, 2, and 3. It's just with weight reduction. Okay, there we go. Boy. Now, I hate to say it, because I'm sure it'll be a fun car to drive, but in terms of the amount of increase in overall speed that we're going to get out of this car from the money that we're putting into it in terms of upgrades, this turned out to be a really shitty investment. Oh my god, I said a bad word. I do that sometimes, I guess. I reserve really terrible words for when they are really appropriate. If you just drop F-bombs left and right, I mean, what do you say when you're actually in a situation that requires a serious F-bomb? That's nice looking. I wonder if the 106 Rallia will look like that too. Or if it has a different paint job. And if it does have the same paint job, that's going to be a really boring looking grid when we do the racing style 106 challenge or cup or whatever it is that it'll be called. Don't give up till you race the 106 cup. You can make it if you try. This is for all the lonely people driving around 106 rallies. I know it's a rally, it's just it has an extra E on it to be special. Let's try racing here at Apricot Hill, see what happens. See how that goes. Apricot Hill is the one that, it's one of the ones that's new for this game, but I feel like doesn't come up as much. Jeez, even having upgraded this thing to its max, it still has a really laggy dead spot in second gear. Though in fairness, the car is both slow enough and generally manageable enough that driving it as quickly as I am, and I imagine it could be driven a little quicker than this, is not much of a challenge. It's an easy drive, so it's got that going for it. Okay, so there you go. Just trying to see whether or not I could just get through the entire course without ever having to brake. That's clearly not going to happen. I'll admit, it's a nice little car to be driving around in something like this. I really do think there's something to be said for racing a car that is not excessively fast, but is small and responsive. Just because there's so much less, well, for one, there's so much less momentum if you were involved in a crash. Also, it's just you generally get a more direct feel for a car's nimbleness that way. Well, because a car's more likely to be nimble that way, I guess, is part of it. And with a little tiny car on a big racetrack like this, the racetrack feels really wide. Where it would not feel like a wide, expansive racetrack if you were out here in your, you know, fairly larger muscle car, or, you know, even bigger, your giant, wide, dedicated sports car that is wide and low slung and all the rest of that stuff. This little thing is tiny and cheerful. I would say cheap and cheerful, but I've invested probably more than 100,000 credits into getting this thing up to the spec that it is right now. It probably would have been nearly this cheerful at the much cheaper price of however much it costs to just get one of these things going from nothing. Not for nothing. Now we need to racing style it, and then we will go finish out Peugeot Land. We will probably never be back here again unless we really want the 206 rally car for some reason. Let's buy those racing modifications. They are nice looking. If it weren't so underpowered, I would think that would be a great car to enter into a Super Touring challenge or something like that. Sadly, it is underpowered for that. You know, something that was a feature in the first game that I haven't even bothered to look at in this one. Let's see, test run settings. No, I guess there is no option in this game to look at the cars that you're going to compete against beforehand. That was one thing in Gran Turismo 1. You could look and like, oh, what are the other cars in this race, and it would tell you, oh, there's a GTR that has 310 horsepower, or, you know, whatever. No, we would appear to all be clones. Well, that's okay, because I know that the rest of you cars all got the flawed, recessive genes. Hi, I'm Recessive G. Hey, guys. Come on. Let's be civil here. Well, this is fun, though, right, guys? Just doing a little driving along for enjoyment and, our health. This car has really high gearing. I guess for, ultimate fuel efficiency. Whoa, just run into me, why don't you? I guess they really do wish I would hurry this up, huh? I guess in this particular race they are tuned up to almost the same, roughly, spec as I am. I haven't even gotten this car up to 5th gear yet. Yeah, let's be classy back there, guys. Let's all stay cool. Let's be like Fonzie. You remember how Fonzie was, right? I'm driving a Peugeot. Hey. Yeah, Fonzie would not drive a Peugeot. He would drive a motorcycle. That was sort of his thing. Some people would say the first racing video game of all time was actually based off of the Fonz. Well, as in, there was an early racing video game called The Fonz, which you were driving around, riding around Fonzie's motorcycle. If you haven't played it, I don't know. It's not your fault you didn't have or it's not my fault you didn't have a Fonzie. I've never played it either. I've just heard about it. I think in doing some of my research for the introductory video to Gran Turismo 1. Maybe you guys have seen it. I did a little intro at the beginning of that series. Because at the time I didn't know whether or not a game series based off of Gran Turismo would appeal to the fans. Turns out the fans kind of like it. Well, there are fans that like it. As many fans like this as do any or most of my other series, it seems. Which is cool by me, because I enjoy playing the game. So it all works out like that. I like this and like that, and probably gonna use. Could use the GT40 race car or the Espouse F1. No, but the Skyline Silhouette Formula. That's the car I'm gonna go get in. Because right now, Daddy needs some more money. I'm running low. I've only got 154,000 credits. Can you imagine? Maybe some of you can imagine. I don't mean to guess the socioeconomic status of my subscribers and my viewers. Can you imagine being able to say, "Oh man, I've only got 154,000 of whatever your primary form of currency is"? I suppose if you lived in Japan, you might, because the yen is a very small form of currency. Not making that as a value judgment, just saying, like, the yen is equivalent to a few cents as opposed to a dollar, or a few euro cents as opposed to a euro. But yeah, like being able to say, oh, I'm down to only about $154,000, or I'm only down to about 154,000 pounds. I was about to try and say marks or francs or whatever. I'm like, nope, because nobody has those. Those are all done. Only 150,000 drachmas. Yeah, I mean, there are some currencies for which that would be, like, an appropriate amount of it to have, but, At this point, at least, I'm going to say dollars and euros. That is plenty of them to be having. Just sort of sitting in your bank account. Unless you are a corporation or something. Oh, Skyline Silhouette Formula, I love you so. This thing is so choice. It has my heart in Gran Turismo car game terms. It is not actually the one woman I will spend my life with or anything. The R30 Skyline Silhouette model is not that. Boy, you know, kids, you'll know it when you meet your R30 Skyline Silhouette formula. Just that one. Honestly, I don't believe that necessarily. I think sometimes your R30 Skyline Silhouette formula can be right there, and you just never realize it. Of course, there has to be more than one path to finding your perfect R30 Skyline Silhouette formula. Otherwise, how would they continue to make rom-coms? Oh man, that was the perfect way through that turn. It wasn't actually, because I didn't get down low enough on the apron, but the fact that the car didn't kick out from underneath me. Zone right now. This is a poor advertisement for Mothers Against Drunk Driving. I'm actually performing relatively well in this car, having had a couple of beers. Really, folks. I didn't want to, like, suck at the game, but at the same time, I feel like it projects a bad message to be perfectly functional. Certainly to be playing the game as well, if not better, after some amount of alcohol. Don't worry, I'm sure I will spin out here at some point. See, that wasn't a very good way through the corner. Ah. Car just hops around a lot. I mean, and yet it stays planted because of the amount of downforce it's got. That wasn't the best way around there, but whatever. But you just sort of see from the way that well, you can see from the way the wings are set up. You can also sort of see from the, and hear from the way they'll kind of bounce around a little bit, that the car is set up like super stiff, and then it's just being dug down into the ground through the use of crazy winglets. That's the impression I'm getting anyways. And again, that was a terrible run through that turn, which of course means that everybody is able to catch up with me a little bit. I gotta keep ahead though if I want to get that, if I want to keep that $500,000 on hand. Daddy wants another Speed 12 to sell off. Lovely. That last turn, which I am typically very terrible at, really does have everything to do with making or breaking your lap around here, because you go into this just super long segment and this really fast, wide turn 1. Let's exit. Let's just do that before this gets out of hand. And a new car is acquired. I'm not going to save the game, though. I'm going to continue. And... I think for variety's sake, I'll just go back and get a... ZZ2 might be able to do it. But I'm not really feeling ZZ2. Tell you, the car that I sped right past but I meant to go with was the Concept Car LM Edition. It's a fun car. Super fun car, and it's my new car. It also has a giant rear wing. How about that, folks? Yeah, the ZZ2 has roughly the same kind of horsepower as the touring car, or not touring car, the Concept Car LM Edition, so... Concept Car LM Edition. I mean, I sort of know why they say LM Edition, and it's sort of a dream that they made up. And it's a beautiful dream, the idea that Dodge actually decided to go ahead with the Copperhead concept and turned it into a car, whether or not they were legally allowed to call it a Copperhead or they had to name it something else. Because apparently they aren't allowed to even call it a Copperhead in this game. I think it, or another, like, small Dodge concept car toured around for a while, called the Venom. Basically, they were trying to capitalize on the Viper, sort of capturing a pop culture interest there for a while. This car, not as fast as the R30 Silhouette Formula, at least so it seems. Hey, don't ignore me. You get back here. You little son of a monkey. But yeah, I get that this car is from beautiful dreamland where they went ahead with production of that. And it was a good car and it had some success. And they decided to make a racing version of it to go to Le Mans. Which, I mean, even if they had gone ahead with production of the Copperhead, seems pretty unlikely that they would make a Le Mans edition GT car out of it, considering they were already racing the Dodge Viper in the GT category, and it would have been a more qualified car. It would have had a larger engine, it would have had all the stuff it needed to. Oh, I just got knocked on the buttocks there. That's always nice. That always feels good. Imagine that's all going to happen again. Nope. They'll catch up to me through the course of this straightaway, but in the turns immediately preceding it, I managed to go through with such quickness that they could not be directly behind me or close enough to make catching that gap a feasible reality. I have that one small advantage. And don't get me wrong, folks. I do think it's kind of a shame that this car never made it to production. But at the same time, it probably wouldn't have been that great of a move for Dodge. It's not like the car would have made them a lot of money. And it really wouldn't have burnished their image that much because they already had the Dodge Viper as a Halo car. I mean, I think it would have been cool. And, you know, it would have made Dodge seem cool. But, I mean, I also thought the Pontiac Solstice was cool, and it made Pontiac look cool. And a few years after that got made, and the Saturn Sky, which was a corporate sibling, also made Saturn look cool. I thought that was a really sharp-looking car. I would have been really interested in checking one of those out if I had the opportunity, but I never did, because they only made them for a couple of years before both Saturn and Pontiac, in the GM bankruptcy, ended up being shuttered. They were great cars, and they seemed to get some pretty good press. And everybody was like, oh man, that's a cool looking car. Yet, none of it was enough to save those troubled corporations. And you have to remember, in the 90s, Dodge and the whole Chrysler group were just getting out of big financial trouble. They were getting pretty strong at that point, but I mean, the 80s were a real bad time for Chrysler. They were basically building back up after a bunch of, you know, government loan guarantees got paid out to them. If I'm remembering all that stuff right. Anyways, I'll go ahead and save the game here, because unless this footage turns out to be completely unusable, I'll probably still upload it anyways. It'll be fine, folks. It'll be okay. You can trust old Bobo. What about old Bobo? And I'll shut this off, and then I'll start another recording, because I want to also make sure that it can handle doing recordings one after another, because it never seems to be the first video that I do in a series that gets messed up. It's always the second or third. So I do another quick video after this, maybe, and do some more driving around. We'll have some more money again, so that'll be nice. This is Bobo the Vulture. This is Let's Play Gran Turismo 2. Thanks very much for watching. I will see you guys next time. Bye now.